Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is currently April 2025. Oh god, I know. At least a quarter of the way through the year. Oh, is it not crazy? It's moving so fast, time is just going by so fast. Anyway, I was just watching my video. Well, I was watching my video on me, what I read last year, when I was actually supposed to be I was wanted to listen to some creepypasta while I was doing some art. But anyway, I got distracted obviously. And then I thought like, oh my goodness, because it's like while I was watching the video. Thoughts everywhere. While I was watching the video. My goal was that I read was to read 6 books for 2025. Or I think more, because I think I read 6. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, it's April and I've read 5. I've read 5. Oh. Chuffed. Actually, like so chuffed. Like this is crazy. And I anticipated that I was gonna read more than normal because I only really started properly like locking in reading halfway through last year and I read 6. So that makes about like quite a lot of sense because I guess I get quite distracted when I'm reading at home, especially like starting a book, but I got into the rhythm last year during winter because I was going to work obviously early and I was like, why don't I bring my book? So that's kind of what like got me like back into the grind because I used to read a lot. Like back when I lived in Samoa, I read a lot. Kid you not, like my Kindle was getting used and fucking used. Anyway, so I read 5 books. Let me list them out for you. So after I read Dune, I really had no idea what to read, and I was sitting on the couch with my mum, and like I've got a Goodreads, and I've got many books that I want to read. A lot of them are like extreme horror and transgressive fiction, and they're good, but just also so heavy, like heavy topics, and I just reading Dune was so heavy. I love Dune. Obviously, you know I love Dune. I love everything about Dune. I'm just oh, give me a sandworm. Give me a fucking sandworm and I'll fucking write it. Anyway, love Dune. But it was such like a heavy book, and like I think I said, I had to keep rereading bits because if I don't understand a bit, I'm just gonna think about the fact that I didn't understand it. So I just have to go back to read. I just can't help it. I just have to read it. So during a lot of the psychedelic stuff, took a lot to read, and there was also some old words that I didn't quite understand. But I do love that because then I like obviously learning about it, which is pretty great. But anyway, TLDR, it was fucking heavy. It was fucking heavy. So I was talking to my mum, and I was like, "What should I read?" And she was like, why don't you read, like she was giving me a couple suggestions, I can't quite remember, but one of them was actually one that I had planned on reading, which was called Blindness by Jose Saramago. Jose. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, she had watched it in a play and it was called Blindness, and it was about basically like everyone in the world goes blind and it's like the fallout, and it's in Portugal, I'm pretty sure. I can see the light is shining. I washed my hair, so we all have to deal with the consequences. Really not my fault. And oh, so everyone goes blind except this one lady, and she's the wife of this doctor who was, well, optometrist, although they use a different word. But it's basically like an optometrist, but I think kind of does more complex stuff on eyes. I'm not 100% sure. But the first dude that goes blind, his wife takes him to see this dude. Anyway, it's his wife. And then the first like 5 people, I think, 5 or 6 people, they get taken to a prison. No, an old asylum that's abandoned to like contain them. But then slowly everyone gets blind. But it's like the downfall. There's like a lot of crime, a lot of misconduct with people, whether that's intimate, if you get my drift. That is that. Thankfully it doesn't like fully explain it, but yeah, stuff goes downhill. It goes downhill, and like food has not been given correctly, it's not being dished up. Reminded me a little bit of the downfall of Animal Farm, which is obviously what is, I always forget, is it the Russian Revolution? Communism. Buzzwords. Something like that. I don't know. but you know what I'm talking about. I always forget. I think it is called. I think that is the Russian Revolution. Anyway, it's just the downfall. And then suddenly like they broke out. Anyway, um, so would you believe I read it? So I wasn't going to. I was like, oh, I'll like give it a go because I was about to head to work that arvo. I was like, I just need something to read while I sit outside if my boss wasn't ready, because like normally I go outside and sit with my boss and like we'll chat and stuff. But if she wasn't ready, I was just gonna go out anyway. Um, and so I opened it. I got up my Kindle. I pressed a button and it was fucking started. And first of all, I think I'm really kind of not the brightest when it came to the beginning of this book. But I read the first paragraph like 3 times and I laughed. I told Mum, I was like, Mum, this book is written so shit. Like, this sentence doesn't even make sense. Yeah, it made sense. I don't know what it was. I don't know my mindset. But one of the core memories of this book was me reading the first paragraph and be like, oh, this doesn't make sense. It did. I don't know. I can't even. The line was something about a zebra crossing, and I think I said that there was no, not the no punctuation. I think I just didn't get it. I think I just went in with a hater mentality, which was not great. That wasn't, not very proud of myself in that like regard. But anyway, so I was like, oh, so I was already turned off. And mum explained. She was like, no, dumbass, that's literally not how it is. So I read the line again. I was like, oh, it just makes sense. But then I realized no punctuation. But obviously it's a writing style. It wasn't a mistake. It is translated from Portuguese, sorry. I'm pretty sure. Or Spanish. I don't actually know. But anyway, maybe Spanish. Anyway, no punctuation except there's full stops, commas. I can't really remember. Pretty sure there are commas. But like no quotation marks. They just run in the sentence. Like if a couple of people are saying something, it could all be in the same sentence with like a comma. Crazy. And when I first read, I was like, this is fucked. Like, this is crazy. And experimental writing is, because I've studied that for uni, which I dropped out of. But I studied it very hard. And I do love experimental writing, but sometimes it's not my fave. Like, I can see it, but it's not something, because I obviously love literature. I love old literature, I love new literature, but it's not one of my fave things when it's overly experimental. I'm like, at that point, it's focusing more on the actual written word than the story it's trying to tell, and I am kind of more, the plot also has to make it. But anyway, so no punctuation. I was gagged. I told Mum, and she was like, that's crazy. I'm not sure if she realized, because she went and saw a stage play. Apparently it was crazy. Sounds like she almost got abducted, but apparently she went with my dad. It was like in a shed. It was in New Zealand, and like all the lights got turned off, but a light shone in your face, and they like had to face away from each other in like chairs. I'm like, it was given human trafficking, but she's here to tell the story. Anyway, so I don't know if it gave the same vibe. I don't know how it could give the vibe in a stage show, but anyway, she was a bit gagged and gooped too. But no, like, and I was reading it and it did throw me off, but it was like okay, and like the plot was intriguing, and my number one favorite genre, which is either done well or not well, is post-apocalyptic. Obviously I've got favorite books that aren't in that genre, but to sell me on a book, it is post-apocalyptic. Like it's just, I just don't know how to explain it, but I just love it. I love it. Anyway, so just knowing that there was that aspect, I was like, oh, this is like, all right. So I kept reading, and then like TLDR, it took me, I want to say actually I remember, I think it took me a little bit over a month to finish, but it, very smooth sailing. Trust me, like, you get used to the no punctuation quickly. It was really good. The only thing was that it was like a little bit slower, and I guess everyone's emotions kind of threw me off a little bit because it was not awfully, it was like not super, not in depth, but I guess you didn't really see into the characters except like the surface level. Like you did, and when it showed you parts of that, it could be a little bit confusing because it did feel abrupt, but you could get in your mind like, oh, this overreaction could definitely well be because of this. Like he was a very talented writer, but apart from that, it was very smooth sailing. Towards the end, it did get a little bit slow. Obviously spoilers, but like they escaped from the asylum and it was a little bit slow, and it was also just stressing me out. Like they weren't getting the food. What if the main girl went blind? But anyway, I slowly made my way through it. There was one bit where they're in a church, and I feel like that bit. Whenever I think of the book, I also just think of that bit because it took a long time to get through, but it was a short part. I think I just kept getting out of it and not finishing that one section. So that was like my own fault. But anyway, at the last bit, there's the last line, and I won't read it out because I won't be able to do it any justice, but basically, this will stick with me. I loved it. I read it to my mum. She didn't get the vibes, but it was just amazing. So she hasn't gone blind yet, and then slowly everyone is starting to see. She stands out on the balcony, and I think that it's been raining for a while, and I think it's just stopped. And she's on the balcony watching people come out of their houses, finally able to see. And then she looks up in the sky, and I think she looks up at the sun, I'm pretty sure, but she looks up in the sky, and then there's like a big, like, her eyes like get like, her vision goes white, and she's like, oh, it's finally my turn to be blind. And then she looks down, and there's still the city. So I was like, oh, like she didn't go blind, but like I was like, oh, that was so good. That was so good. That was so special. That was such, it was like a perfect ending. Like, it was just so good. Anyway, it was amazing. I know there is a second book. I'm not too sure the vibes. I don't think it's fully related. And I think I read all I wanted to read in that scenario. I'm pretty sure, because everyone obviously gets their vision back, so it just obviously go back to normal life, and it's the trials and tribulations of that. But yeah, so that was really good. And then what was my second book? Pen Pal by Dathan Albrick. Pen Pal. That was a really good book. I just had banger this year. Slow start with that first book. It was good, but it was definitely a gentle, slower read, if that makes sense. Like there wasn't too much like extreme action. I've got like a hair. I think I've pulled an actual hair out. Anyway, you're getting pushed away. But what was it? Oh yeah, Pen Pal. So the story originated on Reddit, I'm pretty sure. Whether it's no sleep or not, I can't quite remember. But obviously it did so well that it like got put into a book, which is like, honestly, as it should be, because like I used to love back in, I was actually talking about it today with someone. It was like 2017 or something, but I got absolutely hooked on listening to the long series on YouTube. It wasn't like, there's like the short, like 20-minute long creepypasta stories. Like that's not what I was after. That was okay, not very interesting, but I loved the series. Like obviously Baraska, I loved. That had a hook on me. I actually don't know if it's like still holds up to this day, but obviously it's my username fucking for everything, so really did like it at the time. Baraska, so many other series. What do you call it? No, my head's so empty. But there's so many other series. I've got them in a playlist on my other YouTube account, my private. But anyway, so many good ones. And I'm like, they should be put into like books. Like, I don't actually, if some are. It's been so long, but just so well written. Doesn't help that the people that I listen to read it so talented. I know Mr. Creepypasta did some, and I know it's another dude. I can't even remember his name. I can't remember anything. Anyway, but so talented. Just so talented. Get them Audible contract. Honestly, actually not, because I'm not subscribed with Audible anymore, so I don't really care. But just so talented. Anyway, I digress. So Pen Pal, amazing. Clearly deserves to be in a book. It was so fast paced, so good. I read that so quick. I want to say like 2-3 weeks tops. It was crazy. It was like the way he wrote was so talented, and it was about, oh, actually, let me explain. It was about a little boy, well, an older man reflecting on his life as a little boy. Each paragraph is kind of like broken up into segments, different ages throughout his childhood, and it starts with him. I can't even remember his name because I think I read it so quick. You know when you like watch a TV show or read something so quick, like nothing like really sticks, like in terms of like the specifics, but what do you call it? So he and his class when he's younger write pen pal letters and like attach them to balloons and fly them out. Anyway, it goes downhill from there. Like someone obviously finds a letter and loves him. Minor, he's a minor. Anyway, I won't spoil anything because it really is such worth a read. Oh, I think it was only like $8 on Kindle, which is actually a pretty normal Kindle price. But oh, just amazing. And when I tell you, it took me a while to get through it because just like any other book, I guess, but like not as long as normal. I got through it quicker than normal, but towards the end, I think it was like the last maybe 20% of the book, because I was reading on my Kindle. I was sitting on the couch. It was before my mum came to pick me up because we were gonna go grocery shopping, or I think we were just hanging out at the mall. Girls in the mall, girls in the mall. And I just sat there and read the whole thing. And when I finished, I actually I didn't cry. I thought I did. I was crying on the inside. I was about to cry, but then my mum pulled up literally straight away. So I literally like got my handbag, got in the car, and I told my mum, I was like, I just finished this book. Like, I can't talk about it, or I'm literally gonna cry because it was so sad, so horrific, so traumatic. Oh, I can, oh my god, I had like such, I just don't know how to explain it, but it was just so heart wrenching. And like, sorry, but anything happening to children, obviously, like, is sad. I would hope anyone would be sad if something happened to a child, but if a story is about a child, even if it's something happy, I'm just gonna cry. I just have like the biggest soft spot for children, but it was just heartbreaking. Anyway, I told my sister about it, and she loved the idea of it, and she read it so quick. Oh my god, she read it so quick. And then remember I got home because I was house sitting while my parents were away, and I came inside and she had just finished the book, and well, actually probably finished it like, I don't know, half an hour before then. And I got home from work and she was like, I finished the book and I've been crying, and she was like crying for ages, and I was like, honestly, I wish I had that experience. I wish mum didn't pick me up straight away because I just can't, like, it was so good. It was amazing. It was amazing. I don't even know if I read a review for it. Let me actually have a check. So I did write a review. It was just very short. It was just saying that my like heart dropped when this one thing happened. It had spoilers in it. Also, I actually really messed up. But wait, this is a little doo-doo. I think it's a massager. A little bit of dust on it. Anyway, just a little bit of visual difference on the screen for you to keep you stimulated. Anyway, so I actually messed up. So I read Pen Pal first before Blindness, which really throws me off unless I added it last after I finished. Like, like sometimes I forget to update on Goodreads, so I'll add like 2 at the same time, but I'm pretty sure I must have read Pen Pal straight after Dune because I was looking for something. I can't actually think of my thought process at the time when I chose Pen Pal. It must have just been a random choice, and then I think I just loved it so much. But then it must have been I was so distraught, and then it might have been after my mum and I hung out together. I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I need something to read because I was so distraught. I just needed like something else to read, and then I think that must have been when I read Blindness. Anyway, oh my goodness. So POV, we're coming to the, so I read Pen Pal, that was amazing. I think that was a 5 stars. Blindness, I think I gave it a 5 stars. If I read it, it's most likely 5 stars. I had a great time. No, I actually have rated, I just finished a very bad book. Ooh, just wait till we get to this. That was so bad. Anyway, so POV then, I guess we come to the end of Blindness, and I finished that. So 2 books, and then I was like, oh, well, I just need something light, and then I told Mum that, I think I mentioned, I was like, oh, this is when I was deciding whether to read Blindness or not. I was like, I've got another book, which is The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I was like, I do just want to read it, because I think I explained I saw it when I was reading Howl's Moving Castle, and it was giving similar vibes, and I knew it was like a magical orphanage, and I had like kids with like magical abilities, so I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited. Anyway, so I think I got to the end of Blindness, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna give this one a go. And I did. I read it so quick. I only took like a couple of weeks. Not even that. Actually, maybe like 3 weeks, less than that. I don't know. I finished it quick. It was okay. Not my fave. But I really did enjoy it. I just, nothing really notable stuck out. I guess because it was such an easy read, and it was pretty cozy, pretty comfy. I really enjoyed it. So many like cute moments with the kids. Obviously it was a romance, but I don't really give a fuck. But like, oh, so many like cute moments with the kids. I'm glad they focused on that. I'm glad that the romance wasn't the focus, because I don't think it's specifically a romance, but I think the main issue for me was that the romance between Arthur and Linus, Mr. Baker, between Linus and Arthur, which just wasn't very believable, because it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, kind of like not really hinting at it, but it didn't feel very believable to me, I guess. But then I was thinking, I was like, if it was a guy and a girl and I was reading this in any other book, it would probably just seem natural. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm judging too harshly. Either way, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Fanfic authors could have done so much better with that. I'm not gonna lie to you. But no, apart from that, it was a good, very cozy light read. I know there's a second one that focuses on Arthur and like the court proceedings and like changing the magical world, and I'm like, I know it's probably not fully focusing on that, but I really don't care. Sorry. Nah, I was thinking about that today. I might read it eventually, but who knows. And then I finished it, and then we're coming up to, this book changed my life. Oh, those who know fucking know. So my sister and I were trying to find a movie to watch, and she suggested this movie called Let the Right One In. Anyway, she was like, don't search it up because the bio spoils it, which this will have spoilers in it, by the way. BT Dums, but like the 3 people that are gonna watch. And it was amazing. Like, we just like paused after, me and my sister were like this is gonna stick with us. It was amazing. It was, it was an original Swedish, subbed, not dubbed, which I did really appreciate. I love a good dub, but I just loved it. It was so kind of bleak, barren. Spoilers, it's Eli's a vampire, but it was done so well, and I was just so intrigued. So I'm pretty sure I must have been still reading The House in the Cerulean Sea at the time, and then I finished, and then I just bought the book on Kindle and just started reading it, and it was such an easy read. It was such an easy read. It was amazing. I loved all the characters. There were so many different perspectives, and normally that's not my fave. Like, even in Carry On, sometimes I didn't want to read certain people's perspectives, but every perspective I was like, oh, I need to like read it. I'm hooked in. Like, Virginia, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Lacke, Lake, Oscar, Eli, what's the dude's name? Hakan. Every perspective, I was hooked. Oh, it was just amazing. Anyway, so I bought the actual book, and I was looking for a secondhand one. They just kept giving me new ones. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I'm a big sentimental person. I need the original. Oh. So basically she's flying away. right. And I managed to find one. And, okay, actually so I've got my Kindle. This was, hold on. That's really strange. It's actually not giving me the cover. Okay. But here we can see. Can you see that little boy? Can you see that little boy? I hated that cover. I'm sorry, covers with real people on it. I hate it, and I don't know whose character that's supposed to be. Because Oscar, his whole thing is that he's supposed to be like a little bit overweight. And in my mind, I picture him like blonde, kind of white hair, like lighter hair, because that's how he looks in the movie, obviously. But the whole point, and who is that skinny malnourished child? That's damn right not Eli. Eli has longer hair. It would never be shirtless. Huh? So, anyway, I was not a fan. So I was like, fuck. So I managed to find this. Let me take the bookmark out. On eBay. It's an old library book. Can you see that? It's an old library book. Oh, when I tell you, oh, it's still got like the binding. Oh, it was just amazing. And the words so spread out, which I did like. Big book. Like it's a, compared to my Kindle, it's a big book. Just it still has the barcode. And I didn't realize, because I couldn't find any dates on it or anything. I was like, I need to know when this was a library book. But I see that it says due the 7th of the 7th, 09. And then, oh wait, I'm just realizing now. It says 2007. Oh, I'm fucking gooning. Oh, right. Anyway, obsessed with the cover. I love this book. It changed me. Like, I love this book. There's everything about this book that I love. There's nothing that I didn't like. I literally, when I tell you, I was tweaking out when I finished it, because I was like, what do you mean it's over? What do you mean it's over? Basically, I'm living in fucking Sweden. I'm learning Swedish. I'm visiting Black Bay. That's where it's based. I thought it was Blackberg. It's like black with an E at the end, and then Berg. B-E-R-G. It's pronounced Black Bay. I don't know. I think there's an accent to it, but I found this guy on YouTube called Walk With Me in Stockholm or something, and he walks through there, and he was talking about it, and he's obviously got a Swedish accent. It was just amazing. Oh. I just don't know how to do it any justice. Oh, I should probably explain. So it's like about this little boy, Oscar. He's bullied at school. He lives, I think it's like based in the 80s. And Black Bay only came into existence, I think in like the 50s or something. So anyway, small, like little kind of town. It's very small. It's very small. This guy walks around the whole town in like 20 minutes. Just does a big loop. Obviously doesn't go into any of the building stuff, but like a big loop. Like 20 minutes. So I'm like, ooh, like one school. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so he gets bullied, which is sad. I don't know why I'm smiling, but he's bullied. And then a little girl moves into his apartment, and he slowly befriends her. And then like murders are happening and stuff by this one guy who turns to be her dad. That's not her dad, and there's quite a little bit of I can't use the word, but when you really like a minor, there's a lot of that in this book. Not glorified, thank God. It's done in like obviously like a realistic manner, and it's frowned upon, thank God, thank God, thank God. But he's like in love with Eli and like getting blood and stuff, and it's like Oscar slowly finding out it's like the life deteriorating, like murders happening, just everything's getting more extreme. You find out that if Eli bites someone and doesn't kill them, like drink the blood and doesn't kill them, they turn to a vampire. So it's from a perspective of a character that gets bitten but like saved. The downward spiral of that, like you find out what it's like to become a vampire for the first time, and like going through Virginia's experience with that, spoiler, and the inevitable downfall, how her can, which is the guy that lives with Eli and gets Eli blood, the downfall of that, like what happens, like there's Oscar, another boy that lives in Oscar's building, the boy that bullies Oscar, the boy that bullies Oscar is Johnny, his older brother. This police officer, this other police officer, one of the police officer is Oscar's neighbors, like the son Tommy's almost stepdad, Virginia, a couple other people who hang around with Virginia. They go to like this Chinese restaurant and kind of hang out. And one of them is one of the people that sees Eli attack someone for the first time, and it's one of their friends that dies. They're like kind of older and a bit depressed. And who else? Obviously Eli's perspective. You don't see a lot of that, but you do get to see the past, which is so interesting. Anyway, it was amazing. You guys don't realize. You need to read this book. Like, I kid you not. The one thing that got me, which I was not happy about, is up the top it says a vampire love story, and that's not what this book is. This book is not a romance. If anything, it's a friendship. Oscar thinks it's a romance because he has no real friendships, except with this one boy who doesn't really hang out with Oscar a lot because he gets bullied and he doesn't want to get bullied too. But he just thinks it is because he's hanging out with a girl, and he's never really hung out with a girl before, and he thinks that's kind of what happens. But it's just a friendship. So I'm really not happy with that. I feel like whoever did that cover, they were either told to do that to like get you drawn in, or just didn't read the book and just didn't get it. Comprehension skills just they didn't have any. Very much reminds me of Flowers in the Attic, where at the top it has a forbidden love story or a forbidden romance, and that's just someone didn't read the book. Or I think the main thing is it's probably just used to draw you in. I think it is probably just like a tagline to draw you in. I don't think anyone seriously believes that this is a vampire love story and that was a forbidden romance. There is a forbidden romance, but obviously the first book, Diva, it's not a romance. She was taken advantage of by her older brother. But yes, so anyway, the fact it says 2007, like you're joking. Anyway, turns out there's a second book. It's snippets of their life in the future. I'm so excited. It's called Let the Old Dreams Die, and it's gorgeous. I got one where the cover's very similar, but it's white. I think it's like lighter still. Oak trees, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, different font and everything, and I got it secondhand, obviously. I'm just so excited. It hasn't arrived yet. It's taken quite a while, which I'm a little bit concerned about, but anyway. Which takes me to my next book. Okay. Oh, here we go. The cover's come up. I don't know. Can you see that little boy? Get him off the screen. It's not right. Yeah, one of the creepiest and most imaginative horror stories of the decade. It's not. That's what I think. I'm just like, it's not creepy. There's actually, I take that back. Towards the end, there are bits that are creepy, but that involves liking little kids. That is creepy. But then we move on to my next book. I was like, right, I'm waiting for Let the Old Dreams Die, which I don't know if I'll read straight away. Sorry, that was the mailman. A package came, I got some shelves. What was I saying? Yes, so next book. I tell you, this book was shit. You can't win them all. I've had such great luck this year. Oh, this was shit. This was terrible. I thought after reading Let the Right One In, I was like, okay, like that was a good book, very emotional. Like I was looking for something maybe not as emotional, but something that I've been looking forward to. And I've been looking forward to Cows by Matthew Stockay. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Stockay. And I was looking forward to it because I've heard like a lot of praise from people. It's a pretty like notable book in the extreme horror series genre. And that's how I've been looking forward to it because I found some stuff about like there's like let me explain. So the story is this guy Stephen who he's pretty much a loser, and then he starts working at a slaughterhouse. He sees, like, just in the in the factory section. I actually have a brother that works in an abattoir, but I don't really know what the sections are called. The meat floor? I don't know. Anyway, he's grinding up something from the cow, and he makes his way to the slaughter room. One of the supervisors takes a liking to him and like becomes this like mini little mentor on how to kill cows and stuff. And it kind of like, you know, he like learns to kill and stuff, and it kind of goes downhill. And then there's like cows in the vents. There's this one cow. Now I don't know what this is pronounced. I haven't googled it. I think it's, I've read it in my mind as Guernsey. Guernsey. So I'm just gonna say Guernsey. I'm sorry if it's not right, but I assume it's a sort of cow. But there's this cow. He calls him the Guernsey, and he's in the vent behind his workstation. So here there's the grinder, there's a vent, and there's a cow back there. Well, he's like telling me things to do. He's saying like, you've got to save the cows. Like, if you keep killing cows, like basically like shit's gonna happen to you. Like it's inevitable. You need to like help us. So eventually like time goes on, and then he finally agrees, talks to the cows. He gets led through the vents with these cows that are like in the vents, and he takes him to like this huge chamber, and they have a talk, and basically they say like, Mr. Cripps, which is like the supervisor's name, like, he's gonna kill you next. Or not kinda, I don't think they say he's gonna kill him next, but he's like, it's gonna be worse for you. Anyway, TLDR, spoilers, but Stephen agrees, they kill Mr. Krabs, and then it kind of goes downhill. The cows get a bloodlust and all this. He kills his mom. There's a girl from upstairs that he falls in love with. Anyway, this book sucked. It was short, like 200 pages, but it felt like the longest read. I read it in only like maybe like a week. Like I literally finished Let the Right One In not that long ago. Like I kid you not. It was just not good. I found my eyes drifting from basically every single paragraph. I was like sitting outside having my morning coffee, just like reading, and I just found like my eyes. Looking at trees has never been so much fun. Oh, I looked at every tree. I watched so many birds this morning. I watched a bird land on one of the electrical wires, and he was a big magpie, so when he landed on it, the electrical wire like bounced up and down. I watched it until the wire stopped moving because it was bouncing for so long, and then eventually settled, and that magpie stayed. And it was so thrilling compared to this book. Oh my god. The sort of language he uses, like the C word, like shit, like caca and pee pee. He just like pee and piss and stuff. Just, it was so overused. It was so silly. It was like he just learned how to swear. It was so funny, and it lost all meaning. Basically, in the first paragraph, it was so shocking because like it was all this language straight away, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, this is gross. Like, oh. By literally the second chapter, I was like, okay, this is getting old. I don't want to read about this anymore. Like, use normal words. Like, oh, like, you need, like, it was just not good. Anyway, I wrote a big long review, but I want to read it out. I want to read out my review because I just wrote it this morning. It was terrible. I gave it 2 stars because of the gore. In the middle, it was okay. It was like, whatever. It wasn't that great. I honestly didn't care for it. But in the beginning, there's like a bit that happens with the cows, and that was actually like, I was like in the chair, like, and actually just thinking about it now, it's just so gross. And I actually was cooking dinner at the time. I went downstairs and I was air frying some sort of like chicken tenders or something. Oh no, I think it was chicken tenders. Anyway, I heard them finish in the air fryer. I was sitting outside at the front and I couldn't eat. I ended up just having to read until I got to a bit that I was so bored about because I was not hungry. And even when I made it, because it got to the point where even my roommate finished work and I just was not hungry, so I made it, went upstairs, and then I ate a little bit, and then I eventually got hungry again. And then, but I was just like, there's another bit that happens with this guy called Gummy. Here's him myself laughing. What do you mean it's Gummy? That was, I don't think that was supposed to be a joke, but it was funny anyway. And there's like a bit where they like obviously kill him. That was really, really gross. Like really, really gross. Ugh. Anyway, the middle bits were fine. I mean, not fine. They were not very good. The story sucked. It was like sucky, and then something really like guts churning, and then bad. But at the very end, there was a bit that happened with Lucy, who is his name, that he fell in love with, and she moved downstairs with him when he killed his mom, and it was really gross. That's a bit that I read this morning, and yeah, it was just terrible. It was just terrible. It was so rushed. The only reason that I finished the book, I was just going to give up. I was so ready to give up. The only reason I finished was for two reasons. One, because I knew it was only 200 pages and I was making quite fast progress. So I was like, I just can just do it. I can just do it. And then two, because I was actually very curious to see what would happen at the end. I was very curious, and it sucked. He killed spoilers, but one of the big conflicts was that the Guernsey was going to take over and rule when Stephen wanted to. But nope, there was no real conflict. Like, the Guernsey started taking over, and then Stephen just killed them. Okay. Well, thank you, Matthew. He's dead now. I actually also, none of the characters had any personality. None of their motives seemed realistic or like it was a realistic downward spiral. But the only one that made sense was the Guernsey, which was obviously like starting off like wanting the cows to be saved, being kind of like chill with Stephen, like kind of showing him the way, and then like becoming jealous and a little bit envious and like wanting to have that power instead. That was the only one. That trope is very easy to write, and it was the only one that was written well. So I'm like, okay. So you just killed the character that, I don't know, was a pretty pre-built character, to be honest. Like, he's basically in every sort of fantasy medieval, there's always like that one, you know, the advisor that wants to take over. So I'm like, you killed off the one that like only had any meaning. So that was really interesting. Anyway, so I gave it to 2 stars because the gore was good, but the rest was shit. And I'll read out my review in a second. But I just opened it because I was hoping that it would come up with the picture of the cows. But I've actually stopped on the page that is critical praise for Matthew Stakay. Praise? He lives with his wife in Sydney. What do you mean he's in the same country as me? You sick fuck. I live in the beef capital of Australia. You need to stay. Stay away from our cows. They're not meant for you. He came to Australia, he saw our beef, and he was like, oh, I've got a book. Oh, I've got a story to tell. But anyway, I'll read my review. I just need to take a screenshot on my iPad. Okay, just hit myself in the face with my iPad. I did record it. Will I include it? I don't know. Anyway, I got the review. I just took a screenshot of my phone. It's a long review. So this was, I can't see what time, but it would have been probs like 9 or 10 this morning, I think. Anyway, I said, this book simultaneously felt like the quickest, yet the longest read I've had in a long, long time. Sure, there was gore, it was gross and creative, and honestly seemed to be the only properly thought out part. At least in the beginning. The middle was boring and predictable, but the end did give me a welcome surprise, which was the bit that happened with Lucy. I don't think I can say too much, but she's pregnant and then she does something so she's not, and then she dies. She gives herself a cesarean, but in a not good way. None of the characters had any solid personality, which made the downward spiral of insanity feel shallow, boring, and unrealistic. The only realistic and interesting personality was the Guernsey. But even then, a character that starts off semi-innocent, then falls into jealousy and becomes power-hungry isn't exactly a unique or difficult trope to write. Either way, I did enjoy it when he was present in the story. The language, overuse of certain inappropriate words I can't type here, was so repetitive and boring to read that I found my eyes drifting from the page during most paragraphs. The impact of such graphic words lost all meaning by the second chapter. It really did. Like, I remember reading like the beginning bit at work and I was just like, just so boring. As much as it's silly of me to suggest, I feel like it would have hit harder if Stephen had started off speaking respectfully and shyly about certain topics, and as he spirals, his language becomes more graphic. Which would make sense because he starts off and obviously he hates his mum, but he doesn't have the courage to do anything about it. So it could be him starting off being innocent, but then slowly, you know, becomes more graphic as he gets more unhinged. But I also said on the other end, or on the other side of it, Stephen could start off crass, but as he spirals, his language becomes more detached and clinical, focusing on the sensations instead. So maybe like he like starts off and he's like so passionate in his anger, because he is rooted in his anger in the beginning. So crass, like saying all this stuff, but then as he gets into it, he's like focusing more on like how he feels and like the power he feels and all that. And then like the language could become more like clinical, and he's more withdrawn in that fact, like using more like clinical terms to describe it. Like I feel like, you know. Anyway, the mother felt empty and unrealistic, purely used as bait for the first chapter to get you hooked. I really do think she was like put in the first bit, the language was crazy, and her descriptors and her behavior was just crazy. Didn't make sense for the rest of the story. It really wasn't done well. But yeah, there was like no real point for her, I guess, just to be killed, but it didn't feel like she had, like, she was supposed to have a big emotional impact on Stephen, but he was standing up to her like plenty well, so I don't know. Anyway, it really did feel like it was just supposed to get you hooked on the story. Her overreactions were rushed, and she didn't feel threatening. Just annoying. She was just annoying. Part 2. Why bother going to these lengths to write out such an interesting idea, but not even put in the effort to slow down and describe your characters properly? Like, put a little bit of passion in it. It felt like a first draft, but it felt like a first draft where you just write notes and you haven't actually written the proper story yet. This plot focuses on the characters and their emotions, changing personalities, and downward spiral to insanity. That's what it focuses on. Like, there's the plot, but it's focusing more on Stephen and how he's feeling. But, like, why doesn't it seem to, like, focus on it at all? Like, that is the focus of the story, but it doesn't focus on it at all. Like, there's, like, it doesn't seem to focus on anything. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know. This book reads like a fast-paced retelling of a story from a teenage boy who just learned to swear and loves to describe women's genitals. Because you really did enjoy that, I fear. I give it 2 stars because the gore was, in fact, very creative. I can't fault that. Gross, gross, gross. And I did the emoji that's like the, but without the peace signs, but I feel like, yeah, let's do it. And then I realized at the end, so the whole time I was reading the book, it did feel very much, I guess because it was the influence of it being animals that are trying to stand up to people, it's just giving Animal Farm. And I don't know if I said this before, but I love Animal Farm. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you. I love Animal Farm. Oh, I love it. It's like one of my fave stories ever. I love a good short story, and it's not quite short, but I love it. Anyway, so it did feel like there was supposed to be some metaphor for Stephen standing up to his, like, mother and, like, gaining this power and stuff, but there wasn't a metaphor. It felt like he was trying to hint at the fact that there was a metaphor, not hinting at the fact that, like, this is a metaphor, but that there should have been a metaphor, if that makes sense. The metaphor could be that there was no metaphor, I guess, if we're getting into it like that, but there was no greater meaning. You couldn't pinpoint it to anything, you couldn't relate to anything, you couldn't see this as being something else. It really... Anyway, this is the bit that I wrote. P.S. I kept getting this feeling throughout the book that I was reading a poor version of George Orwell's Animal Farm. It felt like there was supposed to be a metaphor in there somewhere. I don't know if there was actually supposed to be, and I don't care enough to put any thought into finding out. But it reads like the author is trying and failing to get some sort of message across. Who knows? Because I genuinely don't know. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm sure there's some discussion out there, but I'm pretty good with, like, context clues. Like, I'm pretty, like, that's the one thing I can't fault myself on. Is, like, I'm good with comprehension, and I really love a good analysis. And I just could not pinpoint anything. And I'm sure deep down I could piece something together. But like I said, it was such a shit book. I don't care. I don't know what it would do for me. The only thing it would do is satiate my curiosity. But at the end of the day, he wrote a shit book. Just shit. Anyway, that was my 5th book. How are you feeling? That was my 5th book. Shit. I guess I'm so passionate because I finished it this morning. Just a waste of my time. I am very chuffed to say that I've read it, though. I'm chuffed to say that I read it. And I just did not like the gore. I think I'm coming to the realization that I really thought I loved extreme horror because I do love horror, and I don't know how to explain. I love extreme horror, but I don't like it. I don't know. I guess I'm quite a squeamish person, but I love those really dark topics. It's what really draws me in. I like reading, like, it's fucked up. Like, I like reading it, but I'm not a big fan of gore. I love it when it's used tastefully and it's like gross and shocking, but it's used tastefully. This book was just full of it, and I was just it was like bloated with it, and I just didn't like it. And it did occur to me that this is what most extreme horror is like. And I've read a couple extreme horror books, shitty ones. I've read none of like the ones that people recommend, which is also probably like, might get to that, but I read Hey It's Me Charlie, or Hey It's Charlie. Anyway, that was shit. I don't know, I've read a couple others, but reading this book, I'm like, this is pretty much what people say is to like really get into extreme horror. But like, not to say to get into it, but when people bring up extreme horror, they say Cows by Matthew Stakay. So I'm like, if this is what I'm going into, I don't know if it's my thing. I think what am I trying to say? I think transgressive fiction is where I'm gonna like put my reading focus now. And I'm pretty sure that's what most of the books in my Goodreads that I want to read is anyway. But I guess it's good to know that I did give it a chance, and I do still want to give it a chance because I know there's like a healthy overlap with extreme horror and transgressive fiction, such as Tender is the Flesh and what's it called? Oh, no, head's empty. But yeah, I think maybe because it was too overloaded because it was so short. I think it was just supposed to be gross for the sake of gross, and I don't think most extreme horror books are like that. I do think it is just to talk about, just to be shocking for the sake of shocking, which is good to know, but I just do think that I realize that it's probably not like what's for me. I would much rather read about really fucked up stuff and like those darker taboo topics more in depth than have it like overloaded with, oh, this is also gross. Like, no, I just want to read about it and like delve into it. So I think the word is hard for me to say, transgressive fiction. I do have to take a pause before I say it, but I think that's just where I'm headed. But like I said, I actually looked on Goodreads and most of the reviews were bad. It has 2.94 stars. I thought that was because it was so shocking and so gross, which comes, with the territory. But everyone was saying it was terrible, and they said the people that gave it, there was this one review, and they were like, the people that give it 4 out of 5 stars, no, 4 to 5 stars, is the most shocking and horrifying part of this book. I was like, true. And then someone said, this is utter shit. And I was like, oh, that's funny. That's funny. I think one of them was like, one of the reviews was like, I hate my mom, and then I peed and pooed. That fucking got me. That got me. They wrote better stuff than what was in this fucking book. So I think it was probably just the wrong foot to like step in on like a proper extreme horror book that's properly published. Which is good to know. So like I do have Tender is the Flesh, and I did start reading it. But I don't think I continued because I know I started reading it at the beach. And I was at a cafe with my dad, and I think I just ended up chatting with my dad. And then I just like got pulled out of it. But also I don't think I was the biggest fan of the main character. I think he was okay. I don't know why I didn't continue. I think I just got overwhelmed. I think I just knew that there was going to be a lot in this book, so I just got a little bit scared. Which is what I think I'm feeling about Let the Old Dreams Die, the second Let the Right One End book. I know there's going to be like, I don't know, like stressful, like know that you're going to be like reading stuff that I'm like gonna be like caring about. So I'm like, oh, I'm hesitating. So that brings me to my next point actually of what I'm going to be reading next. So I've already read 5 books and I've got a couple options. So Tender in the Flesh was obviously one of the options, and then I was thinking I've got quite a few like queer romance books that I have been wanting to get to, just YA ones. I'm not into smut, so I don't want anything like that, but I've got a couple of those which could be some easy light reading, or although the last proper queer one, apart from The House in the Cerulean Sea, I started reading this sapphic one called Make My Wish Come True. It was a Christmas one, and it was not good. Not good. Also, everyone in my work is pretty homophobic and transphobic, so when I had the book out, it's like two girls holding hands on the front cover. I was like, so I just flipping that upside down. So I was like, maybe that's a Kindle read. But, you know. So I've got that, or Dune Messiah, which was tempted. I love Paul Leto the Second. I was about to say Paul. Leto the Second, the worm. Paul's son that becomes a worm. Oh, he's my favorite. I love him. Oh, I mean, I don't love him. I don't really know him, but I love body horror. I love body horror, and I love him. And like, not him, but I love the thought of him, and like what, like his message, like putting the world, like the universe, through so much suffering for so long. This might be like misguided, but this is from what I've read and from what I've watched and stuff, and like putting it through suffering for so long so that they learn to like rise above it and like fight out. Oh, and I can't remember his name. Duncan Idaho. I remember his name. Jason Momoa. I read this book, and I haven't seen any of the Dune movies. Not the David Lynch one. I know there was another one, and not the latest ones. I definitely want to. But so I didn't really know who to pick. Like, so I have my own pictures in my mind of what everyone looks like. But because I googled their names. Obviously, I know what they look like in like certain movies. So in my mind, which worked out perfectly. Timothy Chalamet suits Paul Atreides so much. Oh my god. And actually, now that I think about it, I think I just made everyone look like how they look in like the David Lynch and the other ones, kind of smashed together. I guess it's the environment that was in my own mind. I know Chaney. I think she just did turn into Zendaya, because I know she's supposed to be redhead and pale somehow. Somehow. She's like either blonde. Well, I'm pretty sure she's got red hair. But I'm like, sorry, that's Zendaya. The famous Shake It Off star? Shake It Up. Not Shake It Off. Shake It Up. Anyway, where was I going with this? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm excited for Later the Second. I'm very excited, but that's not in Messiah. I think that's in the one Duncan Idaho. I got into it because I know obviously he comes back. Like, I know basically everything that happens, not the intricacies, but the overarching, because I watch like a lot of videos on it because I love it. And I spoil the story for myself. But I know that Duncan Idaho is Jason Momoa, and I couldn't picture anyone better. Sorry, but that is Jason Momoa. That's it. That's Aquaman. I haven't seen Aquaman, but that's who he is. Famous Minecraft movie star. But yeah, so I know he comes back. And yeah, but I think that's the third book. I know the second one. I'm pretty sure Paul dies in this one. I'm pretty sure. That's when he wanders into the desert, right? Well, tell me. Don't let me hang in it. I'm pretty sure that's when he dies. Anyway, so I'm just like, in my mind, Dune Messiah is giving me an interim. Give me the vibes of like an interim before another big book. So, I don't know, on my third one, which I think I might just read, is Animorphs 2. Speaking of things I love. Animorphs. Oh, I'm just in love with everything and everyone. I got everyone with love in my heart. But Animorphs. I love Animorphs. I love everything about Animorphs. I was supposed to be. But no. Oh, that was my stomach. I'm kind of hungry. But I was born to be an Animorph. What do you mean? Most people, like when they're younger, or like when they think about it, like I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be in Warrior Cats so bad. Like I was a Warrior Cat, and I couldn't be specific because I read the first book and that's it, and I loved it so much, but I never read the second one. I've got like the first series, like which is I don't know how many, like 5 or 6 books. Anyway, I never read the first one, but apparently that was enough for me. But I more specifically, when I was younger, read Wings of Fire. That was my thing. So I think I just more focused on Wings of Fire. Wings of Fire. It's weird to say out loud. That's what it's called. No, I'm second guessing myself. But yeah. Anyway, but I fear if I was younger when I read this, it would have been Animals every fucking day. Every freaking. Oh god. When I was younger, I used to roleplay Littlest Pet Shop, or it was like a Transformers mix up of a bunch of characters, or Sonic the Hedgehog, or Wings, but would have been Animorphs. I just know it. Anyway, I love Animorphs. I have every single book. I have all 52 books, and I've read the first one in 2023, and I just didn't get around to the second one, and I just don't know why. I must have. That was before my proper like reading groove got back in, at least 6 months before. So I just want to get back into it. Like I keep thinking about how I want to get back into it. I know a lot of the major plot points, and I know how it ends also. Like I said, I've spoiled it for myself. My favorite thing to do. But I'm just like, I just love it so much. So I really, really want to be reading it. Whenever I think of what book I want to read next, I'm always like, the second one. Like I just need to read the second one. But I think I've like psyched myself out because I keep thinking about it. But yeah. Anyway, that's just a couple thoughts of what I want to read next. I'll say how many I'm thinking I'm going to read before the end of the year. It's the 4th month and I've read 5. I don't really have a goal because I'm not in a rush to read like a certain amount of books. You know what I mean? Like I'm not in a rush. I just kind of just want to read what I enjoy. So I guess it's a little bit hard to assume, but because my main goal last year was just to read 7 books, like one more than last year. So I'm gonna say in my mind, I think very easy would be to read 10. That's only 5 away. 10, 15 would be an extreme. 20 would be an extreme. 100. 15 would be an extreme for me. I think that's like gonna be like my crazy goal. Like imagine if I read 15, but it also doesn't really mean anything to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I read 15. I could read 14, and I guess it's just like if the books were good, the books were good. But yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna read 10. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks. That's all I've got to say.